see, this is the Happiness Project. So I'm Alex, Avi, and Jack. You know that. So our first statistic that we came up with was happiness based on the outside temperature. This doesn't necessarily have anything to do with athletes, but the correlation we saw could apply to just anyone in general. And since we saw a positive correlation in happiness when the degrees outside rose for the most part, we kind of attributed this to maybe a condition called seasonal affective disorder, which is also known as seasonal depression or winter blues. This is a condition in which a percentage of people feel depressed or have depressive symptoms in colder weather, especially in the winter when it's like freezing, probably below 40 degrees. This condition appears in 12% of people in places like New Hampshire, Connecticut, Massachusetts, while it only appears in 1% of people in warm places like Florida. People that have this condition often oversleep, have cravings for carbohydrates, so they become overweight, have morning sickness, overall suicidal thoughts in some extreme cases. So yeah, that's happens.
Okay, so the next two slides, this one and the one after, are based on team wins and happiness in warm weather. And so Alex just described how people usually feel in warm weather. People are generally more happy. So we tried to find the correlation between winning and how happy you are in the warm weather. This one is just based on the number of team wins, so it doesn't really take into account the losses. The next one will show that. And so it doesn't really show a great trend. What we were hoping to find was that if you were winning more, like you'd be happier in warm weather, and that would generate more wins. And this didn't really show perfectly that scenario, but you can generally see that most people are happy from a range of 6 to 10, and they generally do win more when they're happier. I actually found a study that showed that people conducted with 12 cyclists, and they studied the impact of heat on their performance, and even in cold weather and warm weather. So they found that after the heat acclimation exposure, approximately 7% of the people increased in performance. And so they obviously found better data than we did because they had a control group because it was only 12 cyclists. But this doesn't really show that perfectly, but that's what we were hoping to show. And the next one, this is generally showing the same thing, however this is taking into account the losses, so this shows the relationship between team winning percentage and the happiness. And so you can see that most people at Choate are happy, and even if they're winning or not. I got a quote from a Choate student athlete, and she says, "Although our team is not always victorious, the enthusiasm and encouragement always keeps our spirits high. Because of the support among the team, we all remain happy." So obviously there's more variables than just weather going into account of team wins. These variables can be things like stress or anxiety about work, your self-confidence, your ability in the sport, and your parents or pressure from outside groups. And so this, what we were trying to show is that heat would improve your performance, and though it's supposed to because it provides, like, it pumps your blood more, and so you're supposed to be able to perform better. It also sometimes does affect your losses because you can suffer from dehydration or overexposure or heat cramps. And so I'm assuming that, like, maybe these people over here who didn't win as much as the other people maybe didn't drink enough water or had outside pressure from like parents or other students.
So the next slide is just applies to all athletes. Happiness on 1 to 10 compared to your winning percentage on your sport. And what we're trying to figure out is if people are happier when they win more or not. And as you can see, there is a positive trend, a small one. However, it's not really big, which leads me and our team to believe that student athletes at Choate don't put their happiness on their sport as much as other people might do. There is some correlation here, like this, there is a higher number of happiness on people that win more, but it's not enough to like say that people's happiness is affected by the sport they play. Yeah, and on the same note, we did playing time percentage, so we asked for minutes out of a game, and then we figured out how many minutes are in a game, did us a percentage. We're trying to see the same thing. Maybe if you played more time on your team, whether you won or lost, you'd be happier. However, as you can see, people that play 100% range all the way from 3 to 10, and people that play 0 range from 0 to 8. So you don't know with this, you know, like you might play all the game and be unhappy, and what this is showing is that happiness is not based on athletics 100%, that obviously there's a bunch of factors that affect your happiness overall at Choate, and that sports isn't that big of a factor.
And the last slide is our histogram of just general happiness at Choate. So we pulled them based on happiness and how that affects their sports, but this is just general happiness at Choate, and you can see from 7 to 10, most people are generally happy, so that's probably more of like social aspect or just like being at Choate as opposed to just sports alone. So in conclusion, we discovered that sports is not the only thing that affects your happiness in warm or cold weather,